Hi, welcome to the Urban Outdoors in SoCal video. My name is Danny Milton, and today we're doing some more Skydio 2 testing. So I came back to one of my favorite places to do some more testing for the Skydio 2. This is the original spot, the two trails that I did most of my Mavic Air 2 and the DJI Mavic 2 Zoom on. I wanted to do kind of a, apples to apples to see how well or how bad the Skydio 2 is going to do compared to those other two DJI drones. So on the first trail that I did, and it's one of my favorite trails here, I did lots and lots of testing in a couple of videos, and you can click on those videos right there to watch the DJI video and see how the Mavic Air 2 did. I went down that trail dozens, maybe not dozens, but at least a dozen times with the Mavic Air 2 following me. Sometimes it would work great, sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes, right when I would throw it up in the air, it would lose track of me for some reason as I was putting the phone away or the remote. There's a couple of parts on the trail near the start where there's some high brush where the Mavic Air 2 would lose me. There's also one really kind of hard banked left-hand turn where you go behind a little bit of a hill. That was also kind of a difficult spot sometimes for the Mavic Air 2 to follow me. Most of the time it would make it around that turn, but not always. And then as you get farther down the trail, the drone, depending on if it's directly behind you or not, I would go under a couple of tree canopies, and there's a couple of smaller ones in the middle of the trail, and then there's a big one at the very end of the trail. And again, sometimes the drone would make it through there, sometimes it wouldn't. The big huge canopy at the end of the trail, it would never follow me through there. It would just stop and hover, and I'd have to bring it in, bring it to myself using the remote and land it. So having the Skydio 2 follow me down that same exact trail, I would pretty much launch it in the same spot I would start the Mavic Air 2. Can't be exact, of course, but as close as I possibly can. Under similar conditions, usually overcast skies are the best when you're using a drone to track you, just because there's less shadows on the ground and everything is the light is kind of diffused and everything is lit up evenly. Whereas when you have a bright sunny day, you have really hard contrast between shadow and light, and sometimes that would throw off the Mavic Air 2. Once I get moving, I'll turn on my phone, I'll have the Skydio 2 app rolling. I will take it and put it in the OtterBox case, just like that, in my backpack. That way nothing can touch the screen or do anything to the controls like that. This is how I have the beacon set up on my bike. I bought this 3D printed mount here, just put a zip tie through it, able to do the two Velcro straps right here, holds it down pretty nice. I put a little bit of foam underneath there so it wouldn't be rubbing on my frame, and the Skydio, or the beacon, just sits there and does what it does. Okay, so the first trip going down the trail was an utter success. The only problem was that when I put my phone away, I hit the button and it didn't do the screen record. But I can show you the footage here. It followed me all the way down the trail from the very start. Didn't have any problems, turning around. Sometimes when you send it up, if you do a hand launch, it takes off in front of you. But I had it set to record from behind. As soon as I started moving, it fell right behind me and down the whole trail, through all of the archways, around the corner into the rock garden section, and even past the big tree that I completely disappear under for maybe a couple of seconds. Followed me all the way down to the bottom and did a great job. So this time we're gonna go down the trail a little bit faster, actually a lot faster. It's not gonna be like a PR or anything, but I want to push it and see how far, how fast the drone can keep up with me, and if it could, follow me all the way down at full speed. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put it out to my front right. I think that's the coolest shot for, mountain biking and stuff, and I can keep it to the right because most of the right side of this trail is open, like down into the canyon. And doing something like that is gonna make it just that much easier for the drone to follow you. If I had it on my left side, and that's the high side of the trail, would have to avoid more bushes and maybe some trees, and just put it in not the greatest of situations. Whereas I know for a fact, on this trail, pretty much the whole right side of the trail is open, except for the part where we would go over the trees. There it goes. Lost me there for a second, I think. Well, we got the phone screen recording, got the beacon on my down tube. It's going all over the place. That's not a good line. So this time the drone's probably a good, I'd say at least 60 feet away. So it's got more, oh god, that section, I gotta find a better line through that section. It's got more of an opportunity to anticipate maneuvers. Although it is going back and forth pretty good right now. I hear it flying around. So with the combination of using the phone's Wi-Fi and then using the GPS of the beacon, the Skydio 2 just absolutely crushed the Mavic Air 2. I went down that trail 3 or 4 separate times using the Skydio 2. Not one time did it lose me. Not one time did I have to start and, stop and, recircle myself or have the drone lock back onto me. Once I threw it up in the air and it locked on, it stayed locked on. From behind me, I had the drone in one of the videos, I have it up and behind me because that's pretty much what the Mavic Air 2 will do. I did one out to the right, and I also believe I did one in front of me. Every single time I put that drone up in the air, it didn't matter if I was going behind trees, under the tree canopy at the end, going fast, going slow, whatever. The Skydio 2 just stayed locked on and just completely blew away the Mavic Air 2. So just as a little bonus as well, I'm going to go down another trail here. I'm going to do one run with the drone behind me, just like the Mavic Air 2 would follow me. And then I'm going to do another one with the drone directly in front of me. That is, I think, either directly in front of you or out to one of the sides at like a 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock position. I think that's my favorite angle because it really shows the viewer how steep the angles and how the trail is, and you can see more of the rocks and that kind of stuff, the drop-offs. Whereas, when you just have the GoPro chesty on, you get that GoPro effect. Nothing looks steep. It all looks really easy. But the different thing too is the GoPro footage will look very fast because you're using super view. But when you look at the drone footage, you can actually get a better idea of how fast I am or anybody else who's using a drone will go down these trails. Coming up to the super chunky part. This is the camera angle that I would think would look really cool from the front, because you kind of lose a little bit of perspective coming down this section when the drone's behind you. Whew. Man, that trail has gotten so much more chunky. Drone's still there. Right as I slowed down, it kind of sped up to catch me a little bit. Got the infamous step up coming. This is the spot where the drone would lose me sometimes, coming around, got those high bushes there. And then going fast to slow through that part would throw the Mavic Air 2 off, and then high bushes and that big tree right next to the step up. It's a lot going on there for the drone to follow. Got a little tree canopy here. Got another small one here, still locked on. I did leave the drone high enough to where it would have plenty of clearance to go over those trees. Something you want to take into consideration anytime you have a drone following you. We won't get anywhere near its top speed of 32 miles per hour, but yeah, we'll see how we do. So here's the Nard Garden section. Not going anywhere near personal record speed. Still doing decent. Whew. Oh my God. Let's let the bike do the work, Danny. All right, we made it through the Nard Garden. Whoa, it swung way out to the left there. Thanks, man. Only me. So we got some interesting sections here of me going behind trees. I think I'm in the right gear for the step up. Oh, that was pretty gnarly. Lost my balance there for a second. Oh, drone stayed honest the whole time. Oh, I can't wait to see what that looks like from the drone's perspective. Got this canopy here. Now, one thing you will see, and I'll show you the screen record from my phone, is when the drone is using the phone's Wi-Fi to track you, it's got the little circle spinning around me. But when it loses that, like when you go behind trees and stuff, you'll see the it'll say GPS tracking, and it puts like a really big circle on top of you. That's when it's using the beacon's GPS to track. And that will pop up from time to time, especially if you're going behind a lot of obstacles, like we did back there on the step up. Not enough speed. That looked probably pretty funny. So the Skydio 2 is just amazing. All 3 runs down the first trail and then the 2 runs down the second trail. Every time I launched the drone, it would lock on to me. I could put my phone away in my backpack. I'd have the beacon on my top tube, and the drone never once lost me from start to finish, from the top of the trail all the way to the bottom. I didn't show you guys the full, runs, because that would be like a 40-minute long video, but not once did the drone lose me. Didn't have any problems with it. The only thing I will say is that when I had the drone directly in front of me, or at least set to be in front of me, you probably want to put it a little bit farther out. If it's when you're looking at the beacon remote, there's 4 little dots. You want to have it at least on the second dot away from you. That's the distance from the subject. If it's on that first dot, the drone is really close, and it will still stay tracking on you. But the problem is that it'll be so close when you're going, right and left through all of the turns of the trail, you're not going to be in the center of the frame, your bike, because it's going to be moving around, and it's going to have a little bit of a harder time. It still will track you all the way down. It won't lose you or anything like that. But I felt like the second or third dot away from me, if I want to have it in front, or even if I have it at that like 2 o'clock position or the 10 o'clock position, the second dot was usually pretty good. So I also did some testing on a trail down in San Diego called NASCAR. If you want to see that video, you can click the link right there. I did a Skydio test video and also just a trail video. Super fun trail. Same thing, same results down there. I had the drone in front of me and then off to the right on another video. Never lost me once, top to bottom. So as far as tracking goes, this drone absolutely destroys the Mavic Air 2. I've heard people having a little bit better success with the Mavic 2S, but I didn't purchase that drone, so I really can't say. I can guarantee you it's not going to do anywhere near as well as the Skydio 2 did. This is by far the best sports drone that you can purchase right now. Now, I know the Mavic 3 is coming out probably later this year. I still doubt that it's going to be able to track you as well as the Skydio 2 does, especially when paired with the beacon. When that Mavic 3 does come out, I'm going to try and get my hands on one, and we'll do some side-by-side comparisons. I'll come out to the same spot, and we'll see what the Mavic 3 can do. So thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it. Hopefully this will kind of steer you away from a DJI drone and more towards a Skydio if you do want it for tracking yourself for action sports. This drone is going to be much more reliable to track you when you're doing those types of action sports compared to the DJI drones. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. Make sure you do all that fun stuff for me, please. Smash that like button. leave comments down below. That's usually the best way to get the ball rolling as far as YouTube putting this video out to more people. Also, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you are subscribed, click that bell notification so you do get notified when I come out with more videos. Last but not least, click on one of these boxes in the corners. One will take you to probably a rides playlist, another to a favorite video, and you can click the logo in the other bottom corner, the Urban Outdoorsman SoCal logo, to subscribe. Thanks a lot.